Part 25. Fantasy, Me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 241. What happened? The expression on Emperor Moun's face changed, and he withdrew hastily. Next to him, the man in golden robe, although he didn't say a word, left here just as quickly and retreated hundreds of thousands of miles away. Hasn't the quasi-emperor of the Bilinjiao clan already crossed the border? How could anyone become emperor? Emperor Moun's eyes were filled with divine light, trying to see through the situation. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. If Emperor Moun were here, naturally nothing in the catastrophe would be hidden from his eyes, but right now it's just a breath of essence. Its strength is limited. I can only feel the mighty waves of dragons coming out, overwhelming the sky. Moun, someone under your command is going to become emperor, and you don't know anything about it beforehand. The man in golden robe spoke. His voice was filled with supreme majesty and incomparable indifference. It sounded like gold and iron. Moun frowned, a hint of displeasure flashed in his eyes. Why do I need to report to you the matters under my command? Having said that, you didn't realize that something was wrong. Is it? The man in golden robe turned his head, looked at the heavenly tribulation in the void, and then looked at the ancestral land of the Bilinjiao clan below. His expression instantly darkened. At this moment, he suddenly understood the meaning of Emperor Moun's words. Did you find out? Emperor Moun said indifferently. The golden-robed man's body was filled with divine light. He hummed. He stood on the edge of the catastrophe, his robes rustling, and he said in a deep voice, the person who becomes the emperor should not be a member of the Bilinjiao clan. Good. Emperor Moun nodded and said, the calamity of becoming an emperor is extremely terrifying. If he were a member of the Bilinjiao clan, he would not be stupid enough to survive the calamity in his ancestral land. The calamity of becoming an emperor has fallen, but there is no distinction between friend and foe. Even if the Bilinjiao clan is protected by the great emperor's formation, they can't stop it for long. Once the formation is broken, the Bilinjiao clan will face the power of destruction. There is no second possibility. Who is he? Emperor Moun frowned and thought. Aotian. On the other side. The shock in Menkingzi's heart was no less than that of the two great emperors. Unexpectedly, at this juncture, Aotian actually became the emperor. For a moment, his heart became filled with mixed feelings, some of which were both thankful and bitter. Fortunately, it was because Emperor Aotian Cheng disrupted the plans of the two great emperors, he had to survive. And bitter, it was his own contemporaries who became emperors, and he stepped back to his original state. He touched the storage ring on his hand, but there was no trace of it. Knowing these resources, are they enough for him to become an emperor? After all, the seniors said that it is much more difficult for him to become an emperor than others. Rumble. Thunder light flickered, and the heaven and earth rioted. Dark clouds gathered all over the sky, and countless lightnings illuminated hundreds of millions of miles away. The breath of terror pressed on the heads of countless people, making them feel breathless. At this time, a small part of the Zixuan realm was shaken. Countless people looked over. Is our Zixuan realm going to add another great emperor? It has only been more than 100,000 years since Emperor Moun became emperor, and there is another great emperor. This is God's blessing for me in the Zixuan realm. Yes. I heard that Emperor Moun, with one man's power, only sent a few quasi-emperors across the border and conquered the Tianyuan realm's territory of millions of miles. If after a period of time, the 5 great emperors cross the border together, how can the Tianyuan realm have the power to fight back? After such a long war, there is still no emperor in the Tianyuan world. In my opinion, their strength is not worthy of the name. They are just strong on the outside and weak on the inside. They don't need 5 emperors, just Emperor Mon can overwhelm them. This makes sense. The atmosphere of terror permeated the air. Many creatures in the purple mysterious realm not only have no fear, but are also in high spirits. There is a new emperor on their side. There is really no need for them to be afraid. 5 emperors coexist. What kind of glorious age is this? Billions of years from now, this period of time is destined to be remembered by future generations. And they, living in these years, I don't know how many people want to envy them, but they still can't. The smell is wrong, very strange. Beyond the heavenly tribulation. Emperor Mon frowned. He was not as optimistic as the outside world. On the contrary, he kept staring at the depths of the thunder tribulation, trying to see who was overcoming the tribulation. The next second. Roar. A dragon roar came out, shaking all directions. A giant dragon stretching thousands of miles soars into the sky, its scales are dense and glowing with cold light, as if it is made of cast steel, with an indestructible luster flowing around it. The huge body is like an endless great wall, stretching for thousands of miles. The huge dragon head, as big as a star, pokes out of the clouds. Is this the dragon clan? Seeing the huge body, the whole world was shocked. In this world, there is no dragon clan, only the dragon clan. They have never seen such a terrifying clan, the body is too huge. It is like a mythical creature, even if it has not escaped the power of the emperor, just with the physical body, gave them the feeling that they could destroy everything. Sure enough, it is not a creature from the purple mystic realm. Emperor Mon's face was livid. The moment he saw Aotian, he understood everything. This is the dragon clan of Tianyuan realm. Because on the battlefield, there are already dragon clans participating in the battle. Those dragon clans are incomparable with the one in front of them. On the same day, the aura is also very different. But the appearance is almost exactly the same. How many creatures have come to Tianyuan world? Great Emperor Mon was very angry. He turned his head and looked at the space passage, his eyes almost wanting to burst into flames. These were just 2 creatures he saw. What about the ones he didn't see? At the very least, they could open up space. The strength of the person in the passage must be a great emperor. When a great emperor takes action, he lets 2 quasi-emperors come over. Think about it from his perspective. It is impossible for Emperor Mon to think about it. He thinks that there must be creatures from the Tianyuan world at this time. Hidden in a corner of the world, watching everything that happens here indifferently. Once the time is right, these hidden people will probably give him a fatal blow. We must find out all the creatures that cross the border. Emperor Mon said with a cold tone. Boom. The divine light rushed into the night, leaving thousands of holes in the sea of thunder. Aotian was overcoming the catastrophe. The dragon's claws poked out, and a ball in his palm bloomed with thousands of rays of brilliance. It hit the 9 heavens and suppressed the 9 nether worlds. There is a kind of unparalleled, the aura of invincibility filled the air, and the power was unparalleled. The sky was filled with thunder and sea for a while, and there was nothing he could do about it. He is sacrificing his imperial soldiers. The man in golden robes spoke slowly. He has experienced the scene before, so he is very familiar with it. We can only wait for the moment when he is about to become emperor and make plans. A cold murderous intention flashed in the eyes of Emperor Mon. Time passed slowly. 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. The catastrophe has been spreading, and as it gets to the later stage, the power becomes more terrifying. Aotian was in the thunder tribulation. In the middle, he gave up his life and tried his best. Seeing that he was about to become emperor, even if his body was scarred, he couldn't care about it. Boom. Another thick sky thunder fell, and Aotien's skin and flesh suddenly burst open, scales flew, and large areas of flesh and blood exploded, dripping with blood, and golden dragon blood filled the void. The gods flickered, and thunder and lightning rioted. A large area became ruins and transformed. It was a place of destruction, completely collapsed. One person became an emperor, and there were billions of thunders. This scene was too terrifying. Except for those who became emperors, no one could survive. Even those who had become emperors did not want to go through it again. Boom, the thunder calamity tilted again, but this time, the power was much smaller. Aotian let out a long roar, and the dragon's roar shook the sky. His huge body rose into the sky. The dragon's power shot out across the sky, and with a roar, the calamity clouds filled the sky. Beaten to pieces. Hold head high. The loud roar of the dragon shook the sky. Countless stars exploded one after another, and billions of rays of light bloomed all over Aotian. He was undergoing a terrifying transformation, and the imperial power was like a tide, suppressing all living things. As the Dragon Emperor, I shall suppress all enemies in the world. Aotian yelled. A pair of huge eyes, extremely domineering, looking out in all directions, arrogant in the world. After becoming the emperor, he already has the capital to surpass all spirits. As soon as he finished speaking, Ao Xian glanced around and quickly saw as for Emperor Mon and the two of them. He has become an emperor, but his realm is not yet stable, and the injuries from resisting the catastrophe just now are still there, but they still can't cover up his power as an emperor. If he doesn't kill 1 or 2 people to establish his power now, wouldn't it mean that people from the Zixian realm underestimated their own Tianyuan realm? It's just you two. Aotian smiled solemnly, and stretched out the dragon's claws. One emperor's essence and blood, and the other's essence, were less than 1,000th of the strength of a great emperor. He could crush them to death by raising his hands. Although it was not 2 emperors. But it was enough. His move was to tell the creatures in the Zixuan realm clearly, and he was also telling the creatures in the Tianyuan realm that starting from today, they would attack and defend the aliens. Boom! The dragon's claws broke through the air, but they haven't fallen yet. The changes are rising sharply. Sonorous. A terrifying sword light tore through the Emperor of Heaven, penetrated countless star fields, and swept over from the far end of the world like a Milky Way. The sword light was like a sea, covering the sky and the sun, like a sky curtain, boundless, moving forward, galloping, unleashing supreme power. It seems to be splitting this world into 2. Boom! On the other side, divine light bloomed all over the sky, and a black palm fell from the sky. The palm was very huge. The sun and the moon rotated between the palm fingers, and the breath of the world was flowing. Buzz! At the same time, a fist shadow shook the sky, carrying the aura of the emperor, overwhelming the sky, like a golden meteor, smashing into the void, and quickly smashed down. Aotian was stunned. What's the situation? I have just become emperor, and I haven't even taken action yet. Why are there 3 great emperors taking action against me at the same time? This is to kill yourself. He had just become emperor, less than a quarter of an hour later, and the 3 people who took action had all been emperors for at least 100,000 years. How could they be the same? With 1 against 3, there is no way for you to survive. Run. This thought came up. Aotian couldn't care about anything now. He was not the Dragon Emperor. It was important to save his life. He turned around and ran towards the space passage without any hesitation. Can you run? Boundary crossers, die. It's just a reptile, you can kill it with your hands. 3 cold voices, like the words of the gods, shook billions of rules and made the stars shine, as if they were not killing an emperor. They were just crushing an insect. Well. Aotian, why did you run away? Menkingzi stood there, looking at the three terrifying rays of light, drowning everything. He was dumbfounded. He looked at Aotians retreating back and said loudly, "Take me with you. I'm still here." Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 242. Menkingzi. Aotian, who was running away, had a busy schedule. He looked back at Menkingzi. He gritted his teeth, stretched out his dragon claws, grabbed it into his palm, and rushed towards the space channel with him. Menkingzi was also a quasi-emperor after all. If there had not been an invasion from the Zixuan realm, he might have beaten Menkingzi to death immediately. But not at this special time. A quasi-emperor is an extremely powerful warrior who can change the situation of the war. He cannot just watch Menkingzi fall. The ancestral land of the Bilinjiao clan. It's not far from the space channel. Now Emperor Aotiancheng was faster. In just a moment, he had crossed tens of thousands of miles and rushed in without any hesitation. As long as you go back, you will appear in the Tianji Tower. No matter how powerful those three emperors are, they still dare to take action against Tianji Tower? If the senior poster is angry, these three great emperors may die without knowing how. Watch Aotian enter the space passage. The two clones of the great emperor showed no intention of stopping him, with a sneer on their lips. These two people thought of things too simply. Do you think it's safe to enter the space channel? Three great emperors working together may not be able to kill one great emperor. If the Dragon Emperor chooses to resist the attack, he will be severely injured at most, but he still has a chance to survive. If you restrain your aura and hide yourself, you might be able to live for a while longer. But he chose to enter the space channel. Could it be? He thinks that the three great emperors can't break the space channel with a combined blow? If the space channel is broken, let alone going back at that time. In the chaos, being isolated from the two worlds, it is a miracle that he can survive. It is ridiculous for a person of the same level to die in such a way. The man in golden robe said coldly. Good. The great Emperor Moun also nodded at the same time. Boom. The void shook, and the space was shattered inch by inch. A knife, a palm, and a punch contained the power of destroying the heaven and the earth. It rumbled down and attracted the eyes of the world. Everyone looked here. Countless people felt in their hearts they were extremely confused. They couldn't figure out why the three great emperors wanted to attack the newly born emperor. Just when the three great emperors were about to fall completely with one blow. Well. A soft sigh came. It echoed between heaven and earth and reached the ears of every living being. I saw. In the space passage, a white and jade-like palm stretched out. The palm prints were clearly visible, covering thousands of miles. The square circle is like the hand of God, oppressing everything. The palm blooms with brilliance, bends slightly, and then flicks the finger. Boom. 10,000 rays of light bloomed in the void, like countless divine swords, shooting out, shaking the nine heavens, breaking through the lead clouds, and turning into an eternal divine rainbow. Such a stunning blow, shining on the past, present and future, pierced the sky. The fairy light is brilliant, gorgeous, auspicious clouds are surging. The past, future, and present seem to have been shattered into pieces with one finger. Chaos is everywhere, with the power of opening up the world. Boom. The sword light shattered first, and then the palm print disintegrated. The last fist light exploded in the void, like a small sun, brilliant to the extreme. Who is it? Three cold shouts came out from the mouths of three different emperors at the same time. It shocked all living beings in the Zixuan realm. They looked at what just happened and couldn't believe it. They were completely numb. A great emperor, cross-border taking action, with a casual blow, shattered the combined power of the three great emperors. You also want to destroy the space channel I opened. Do you think the words TNG Tower are just decorations? A clear voice came out. Countless creatures were confused. What is the TNG Tower? Have you never heard of it? Is it some terrorist force in the Tianyuan world? This great emperor plans to come over in person to settle accounts with the Zixuan world. What? Apart from anything else, the strength shown by the emperor of the Tianyuan realm was really terrifying. 1 against 3, or a cross-border attack, he forcibly defeated the 3 emperors who joined forces. Such strength is evident. It must be an existence above the 3 great emperors. It's disrespectful to come back without reciprocating. If you take action against the space channel I opened, take a blow from me today and this matter can be revealed. As soon as he finished speaking, he held a fist in the sky and punched it out in the air. It was invincible and domineering, shaking the universe for eternity. Wow! The fist light split into 3 and flew in 3 directions. Each fist seal released the power of the avenue, filled with runes, stirring up the past and present, as if penetrating the entire world, bringing with it unspeakable power. Among them, there is the power of fairy spirits, lingering endlessly, otherworldly, as if transcending all realms. This is fairy. In the Mon Imperial Palace, Emperor Mon stood tall and looked at the fist light that was flying across countless star fields. His eyes were extremely shocked. This punch was almost beyond his understanding. It was almost touching. A brand new realm. Could it be said that there are people in the Tianyuan world who are about to take the final step? How can it be? In a heavenly palace, a man in golden robes, with a majestic appearance and eyes as deep as the stars, stepped out and came to the void. Looking at the fist light, he was equally shocked. Are there really immortals in the world? On a sacred peak, a man in grey robes stood with a long knife on his back and his hands behind his back. He did not panic. Anyway, his eyes were shining with dazzling light, and his body was full of fighting spirit. He did not dodge or evade, soared into the sky, with the long knife behind his back, he let out a soft cry, shattered the eternal void, and turned into a bright brilliance. He took the lead to greet it. Boom! There was a loud noise. The fist light fell, and the sky collapsed. The moment the 2 sides touched, the man in grey robe flew backwards at a faster speed, and after crashing through several star fields, he smashed into it in the dead silence of the void. There was no breath. Although he was not dead, he had lost half his life. Followed closely. Boom! Boom! 2 loud noises were heard, shaking the entire Zixuan realm. In the eyes of everyone in disbelief, Mon's imperial palace collapsed and was smashed into pieces by a fist light, and Emperor Mon himself was even more shattered. Was smashed into the depths of the earth. Then, the Tai Palace disintegrated in the void. The golden fist light penetrated from it, and the vast aftermath swept across all directions. Not only the Tai Palace was beaten into powder, but also the nearby stars. The domain was also completely shattered. Within 1 day, the 3 great emperors were severely injured. This was simply a huge blow, which made countless creatures in the Zixuan realm feel as if a basin of cold water was poured on their heads, and their confidence fell to the bottom. Before they were still thinking about a cross-border war against the Tianyuan realm. But now it seems that they only need to send out 1 great emperor to destroy their Zixuan realm. How can they fight this? I haven't come here yet, but I have killed the 3 great emperors. If the heavy damage comes, even if some old monsters in the restricted area are included, it will not be enough to fight. Countless people watched helplessly as the sky-covering giant hand slowly disappeared into the void after punching. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Supreme Emperor had no intention of coming across the border. This was a blessing in misfortune. As long as the other party did not come over, there was still a glimmer of hope for them in the purple mystic realm. Not to say, are the elite men under Emperor Mon unstoppable in the Tianyuan world. Zixuan realm. In an ancient force. A great saint-level figure said with a bitter look on his face. Why did this good news lead to such a terrifying existence not long after it was spread? If he takes action, how can people who cross the border have a way to survive? One look is enough to make everyone lose their souls, right? Mon Imperial Palace. The space cracks still exist. This was a space passage that Emperor Mon had worked hard to open for thousands of years after he became emperor, and an emperor-level formation was deployed around it. There is an altar guarding the lower part. It can be said, if the Mon Imperial Palace collapses, this space crack will also be as stable as a mountain. The reason why he did this was that he might open a space rift in front of a great emperor's door if he didn't make arrangements first. Maybe the moment the space rift opened, it was hit by a great emperor. Come and see today. This arrangement of his is very necessary. The Mon Imperial Palace was shattered into pieces, but the space cracks remained motionless and impregnable. If the space cracks were shattered, all those who crossed over would be affected. I'm afraid they will cry at the first moment. Now. In the space passage, a great sage flew out. He was holding a jade slip in his hand with an excited look on his face. He was stunned as soon as he came out. He stood in the sky, looked around, and fell into deep thought. Where is this? It doesn't seem to be Mon Imperial Palace. The surrounding emperor-level formation was gone, and the altar at his feet was full of cracks. If you didn't look carefully, you could hardly recognize it. Looking around, you could see that everything was in a mess. It was as if a great emperor had slapped everything away. Emperor! The great sage tried to call out. There was no response for a long time. It's over. As if all his strength was drained out in an instant, the great sage's heart felt cold. It seems that during his cross-border period, the Moiwan Imperial Palace encountered a formidable enemy. Even the emperor was in danger. This must be what kind of terrifying enemy could turn this place into the scene? Even the emperor-level formation was destroyed. Could it be the emperor of Thailand? Or the emperor Tiankai? The great sage speculated in his heart. In the Zixuan world, a total of 4 emperors coexisted. The first emperor to become an emperor has completely escaped from the world and no longer walks around in the world of cultivation. Some people say that he went to another world. Some people say that he has reached his twilight years. Is about to die. Except for the first person to become an emperor, currently only the other 2 emperors have such strength and can completely destroy the Mon Imperial Palace. Just when various thoughts flashed through his mind. Click. The ground was shattered. A man was covered in blood. A figure with tattered clothes crawled out from the ground. His hair was messy, and there were wounds all over his body. There was a flash of light, but he still could not recover from his injuries. Great Emperor! The great sage took a closer look and shouted. The hair on his body stood up. He quickly ran over and helped Emperor Mon up. He lowered his head and looked at the shocking wounds on Emperor Mon's body, and his heart felt cold. In the world of cultivation, not to mention the great emperor, even the Holy Lord level figures can be reborn after severed limbs. At the level of the great emperor, it is not an exaggeration to say that they are reborn with a drop of blood. But even if the great emperor has such strength, he is still beaten so miserably. The extent of the injury cannot even be recovered in a short time. This shows how serious the injury is. I am afraid it will damage the foundation. Great Emperor, are you okay? The great sage asked in a low voice. There is actually such a person in the Tianyuan world. He is only one step away from the legendary realm. Is he really going to become an immortal? Emperor Mon did not respond to the other party. The moment he came out, he raised his head and looked at the space passage in the distance, and a deep fear flashed deep in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 243. Tianyuan World. The great sage's expression changed and he said uncertainly, what the emperor said is, the owner of Tianji. The owner of Tianji? Tianji Tower. Emperor Moun's expression was shocked, and black brilliance flowed all over his body. His hair was floating and shining. Even the seriously injured emperor still showed a terrifying aura. He suddenly turned around, his divine power was suffocating, full of his black hair fell like a waterfall, his eyes were deep, and his voice was hoarse. Have you found out about Tianji Tower? This. The great sage felt a chill in his heart. Despite the pressure from Emperor Moun, he handed over the jade slip in his hand and said, Qi Emperor, after crossing the border, my subordinates have been searching everywhere for news about the Tianyuan world. Among several powerful ethnic groups, I can confirm that there is no emperor in their tribe. Only Tianji Tower. What happened to Tianji Tower? Great Emperor Moun asked in a deep voice. This power made him feel frightened. A being close to an immortal, his power of intimidation was unparalleled. If he was dissatisfied, he would really cross the border to kill. Emperor Moun didn't know, is there anyone in the mysterious world who can stop him? He has now become an emperor. There are a total of 5 restricted areas in the world. He has been to all of them, but he has learned about most of them. There is no existence close to the immortal in the restricted area. Some are just a few old monsters lingering on. Not to mention becoming immortals, there is no telling how much strength they have left at the moment. They can only rely on special means to stay alive, put themselves into a deep sleep and reduce the loss of vitality. Count on them to resist a monster. A near immortal figure is tantamount to seeking death. This is the secret building, something special. The great sage pondered for a moment and then said, the strength of Master Tianji is very terrifying. He only took action twice. Once he attracted the power of divine punishment, and once he almost killed a quasi-emperor. The subordinates can conclude that this Tianji building master must be a great emperor. According to rumors in the Tianyuan world, my subordinates feel that the quasi-emperor who was almost killed by the owner of Tianji Tower may have become an emperor. There are only 2 great emperors in the Tianyuan world today. Moreover, the owner of Tianji never intervenes in the fights between the parties. He is probably a person with an indifferent temperament. Our Zhixian realm has penetrated thousands of miles into the Tianyuan realm, and he still has not taken action. Estimate. He doesn't want to care about the mundane affairs of Tianyuan world. Great Emperor, this is an opportunity for our Zhixian realm. The great sage spoke a lot eloquently, and the more he spoke, the more excited he became. There are 2 great emperors in the Tianyuan world. One is not doing anything, and the other is still missing. If you miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you will never see it again. It's not here. But when he saw the injuries on his emperor's body, his voice became weak again. Tianyuan world already has 3 great emperors. Emperor Moun said in a deep voice. A dragon clan became an emperor in this world. He just returned. His subordinates did not find out the news. It was reasonable. He did not blame him for this. 3. The great sage was dumbfounded. He secretly thought in his heart, the great emperor deserves to be the great emperor. Even though he is sitting in the Zhixian realm, he still knows the Tianyuan realm very well. He even knows that the other world has 3 great emperors. Great emperor, since the other party has 3 great emperors, why not, let's stick to the territory we occupy at the moment. After we finish dealing with this area, what are our plans? From this great sage's point of view, For his own emperor to be beaten so badly, it must be a certain emperor from the Zixuan realm who took advantage of the situation. Now that he is being attacked from both sides, continuing to attack the Tianyuan realm is tantamount to seeking death. By then, being attacked from two sides, the first to be defeated must be his own emperor. No need. The person who takes action against this emperor is none other than Master Tianji. Emperor Moun said in a deep voice. The matter of Tianji building Master's cross-border attack is not a secret. The other party has already announced his name, and the entire Zixuan realm has almost heard it. There is no point in hiding it. If you inquire a little, even if it is a passers-by can speak eloquently. He is not a person who cannot afford to lose. Not to mention, losing to a near immortal existence, losing in the hands of such a person is not a shame. Sky, the owner of Tianji. The great sage's face froze, showing an expression of disbelief. The person who seriously injured his own emperor was actually the master of Tianji. This is too incredible. How did he do it? He was able to kill an emperor from a world away. In this state? If you plan to do something in the Tianyuan realm, please slow down for a while and don't act too hastily. Emperor Moun said slowly, his eyes opened and closed, and a chill filled the air. In his eyes, other people in Tianyuan world are nothing more than local chickens and dogs, but this Tianji building owner, he really can't figure it out. What if something happens? If the owner of Tianji is angry, I am afraid that if he is slapped like this, he will be completely cool. At least, he has to wait until his strength reaches a higher level. He can withstand 2 slaps. In this way, facing the owner of Tianji, even if he is defeated, he still has a chance to escape. In the final analysis, the time he has entered the realm of the great emperor is a bit short. For example, the injury of Emperor Tai is not serious, while Emperor Tiankai is looking for death. He must fight with that punch. Shake. Yes. The great sage bowed his hand. He paused and said again, Great Emperor, according to the information received by my subordinates, the thing that the master of Tianji is best at seems to be deducing the secrets of heaven. Oh? Emperor Moun glanced at him and said indifferently, Tell me about it. In the Tianyuan world, all the geniuses, or those who have the hope of becoming emperor, are all listed on a list, and this list is made by the master of Tianji. If it were us, according to this list. Said. This great sage had a murderous intent flashing in his eyes. Its purpose is self-evident. At present, it is impossible to occupy the Tianyuan world in a short time, but if the people on the list are wiped out, wouldn't the Tianyuan world be defeated without a fight? After hundreds of thousands of years, there is no need to fight. They were completely done with it themselves. Without successors to support a big world, relying only on middle and lower class cultivators, these people have no power to fight. A quasi-emperor can overthrow them. Especially the first person on the list of geniuses. This person is mysterious and unpredictable. Her subordinates suspect that she is the reincarnation of a great emperor. Not only is she at the top of the list of geniuses, she also ranks first on the list of princes. If it can be removed, there will definitely be one less powerful enemy in the Zixuan realm in the future. The great sage said with a solemn tone. List. The great Emperor Moun took a look at the jade slip in his hand and suddenly understood it completely. Judging from this list, it seems that nothing in the Tianyuan world can be hidden from the eyes of the Tianji building master. Such methods have to be used. People are afraid of them. But because of this, they are given a chance. They cannot attack the Tianyuan world with great fanfare. Killing them one by one according to the people on this list is indeed a way, but there is an important prerequisite for doing so. That is, there are no protectors around the people on the list. But this result is unlikely. They all understand that the list is extremely important. How can the forces behind these geniuses not understand? Why not send someone there yourself? If the opponent didn't kill him, he would have to lose several of his men. Once he missed, all the forces would be on guard. The difficulty of succeeding would definitely increase exponentially. Let the quasi-emperor of the Bilinjiao clan go and wipe out Yu Qingxian, who is number 1 on the list of geniuses. Emperor Mo. Yuan's eyes flashed with thoughts, and he said again, tell him that his Bilinjiao clan has been destroyed by the creatures in the Tianyuan world. There is only one chance to take action. After one time, all the forces in the Tianyuan world will be alert, so he can only choose the most outstanding person. According to the information collected by his men, Yu Qingxian is surrounded by a great emperor's remnant formation to protect him, but if faced with a quasi-emperor with imperial weapons, whether she can block it or not is a matter of doubt. She is just a young prodigy. She does not need to take a direct action, just the aftermath can kill her in the formation. At the same time, you tell Tabo to avoid the humans and attack the sea area with all his strength. Emperor Moun said in a cold voice. As a subordinate, he has collected a lot of information, including news about Tianji Tower, which is within the territory of the human race. He now also suspects that the owner of Tianji Tower may be a certain emperor in the history of the human race. It is unwise to continue to provoke the human race at the moment. The only best option is to turn around and attack the Sea Clan and leave the human race far away, especially since there is still a dragon among the Sea Clan who will become emperor. We must take advantage of him to stabilize his realm. Kill him before. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. Right now, the dragon has fled back. If the Sea Clan is attacked, he cannot sit idly by and ignore it. As long as he appears, he can take action from a distance. This is a test. Now, let's take a look at Tianji's attitude towards Zixuan realm. If the other party stops him, he will temporarily extinguish his desire to control the Tianyuan world. If the other party doesn't care, it will be easy. He has countless ways to fight across borders. Under the deserted city, Ao Xian took Meng Qingzi and stumbled out of the space passage. After the two came out, seeing the surrounding scene, I was stunned for a moment. They didn't expect that not long after they left, the surrounding scenery would change drastically. Fortunately, the two of them accepted it quickly and came back to their senses in an instant. They stepped up into the sky, entered the desert city, and quickly arrived in front of the Tianji Tower. Haven't entered yet. Ao Xian immediately raised his hands and said, Junior, thank you Senior for helping me. Next to him, Meng Qingzi also saluted and said with a sigh on his face, Junior Meng Qingzi, thank you Senior for saving your life, he said. The two of them took out a storage ring at the same time, put it on the table, and said in unison, this is a little thought from the Junior, please accept it, Senior. If Li Yun didn't take action at the last moment, Ao Xian might be able to hold on for a while. But Meng Qingzi will definitely not survive. A mere quasi-emperor, let alone the three great emperors, could turn him into a powder even with a single blow or the aftermath. It seems that you two, Zixuanja and his party have gained quite a lot this time. Li Yun put away the ring, glanced at the contents inside, and said, Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 244. All this is thanks to seniors. Ao Xian said gratefully. At the same time, he felt a little sad in his heart. Before going to the Zixuan realm, he was just a quasi-emperor, but after he came back, he transformed and became the Dragon Emperor who is superior to all living beings. As soon as he said that, Wanling Jingkong. Looking at the world, besides the senior poster, how many people are his opponents? If it hadn't been for the three great emperors in Zixuan realm just now who took action at the same time, he would have to fight one of them to let them know, he is not so easy to bully in the Tianyuan world. Thinking of this, Ao Xian glanced at Li Yun secretly, his heart was not as calm as he seemed on the surface. In the space channel, he was different from Menkingzi. He was not concerned about everything that happened in the Zixuan world. It can be said that he has a panoramic view. The senior poster severely injured 3 emperors with one blow. While this level of strength is amazing, he can't help but tremble in his heart. If the punch just now was used against him, Ao Xian thought to himself, it may be gone. Moreover, no one can guarantee whether the senior made a cross-border attack with all his strength. After all, when he captured Ling Xiao with one blow, everyone thought that the senior had used all his strength. But today, it seems that the previous one blow is nothing more than a sprinkle of water. With lessons learned from the past, who can guarantee that senior will use all his strength this time? What if senior poster is still hiding? Ao Xian, Dragon Emperor, you are right. Menkingzi said sourly from the side. How long has it been? A few days ago, the people who were on equal footing with me can only look up to him now. Among his peers, he is probably the only one who is still standing still. The others are not dead. That is, became emperor. Seniors, juniors have a question, I want to ask seniors. Ao Xian is very energetic. Although he has not recovered from his injuries, it is no longer important now. He can be said to be invincible in the Tianyuan world. There is no need to worry about any enemies. The only thing he is worried about right now is the few people in the Zixuan world. Emperor, will they chase after me? Of course. They will definitely not dare to come to the space passage under Dawang City. But there is another one near Deluo Sword Sect. If the 3 emperors attack across the border together, they will definitely not be able to stop it. But this may be very small, after all, the intimidation of senior poster's punch is still there. They don't dare to do anything to senior poster. But it's hard to say for other people. For example, themselves. You want to ask, when did the other 2 great emperors of Zixuan realm come over and where did they come from? Li Yun glanced at him and said lightly. Nothing can be hidden from the seniors. Ao Xian handed over his hands. He was in admiration. He was a great emperor. What he was thinking in his heart was still seen through by the senior poster at a glance. It was simply unbelievable. As he said that, he handed over a quasi-emperor weapon. He came from the Bailinjiao ancestral land, and the Bailinjiao clan's many years of heritage now fell into his hands. He even got the Bailinjiao clan's imperial scriptures. At the same time, there was also a treasure hidden in his hand. A body with the level of an emperor. The price paid before was fully repaid this time, and a lot of profit was made. The Dragon clan, which was already extremely rich, can be said to be extremely rich at this moment. The value of this news is that a quasi-emperor weapon is not enough. You should understand that from the moment the 2 of you appeared in the Zixuan realm, everything in the future has changed. Li Yun Kankan said. Ao Xian is so fat this time, he actually brought out a quasi-imperial weapon. Even if it is valuable enough, he has to say it is not enough. If he doesn't give him more, he will not be able to make sense of it. This. Ao Xian's expression froze. Just now, I had put all the information about the Bailinjiao clan into a storage ring and gave it to the senior poster to repay the kindness of saving my life. At this moment, another quasi-emperor soldier was taken out. It can be said that there is nothing left on me. All that's left is a great emperor's body, an emperor's scripture, and the emperor's weapons that he just refined. You must not hand over your own imperial weapons, nor can you hand over the emperor's body. The Bailinjiao clan has the same origin as the Dragon clan, and the body of their ancestor is also of great benefit to the Dragon clan. You have to keep it for yourself. After thinking about it, only this Emperor Sutra can be exchanged. The Dragon clan is different from the human clan. They have their own magical powers and techniques. This is a blood inheritance. No matter how many great emperors are born in the clan, they only have one emperor scripture. Because their future path has been decided, they can only follow the path of their ancestors. As for the human race, and some ethnic groups similar to the human race, they all became emperors and left behind an emperor's scripture. Everyone took a different path. Although there are differences between the two, they are not superior or inferior. They are all a unique group of people. Although it hurts to hand over this emperor's sutra, it is not particularly painful, because this emperor's sutra is just a decoration if left in their hands, and they cannot practice at all. Same reason. If others obtain the dragon clan inheritance, they will also be restricted by their bloodline and cannot practice even a single cent. Senior, plus the imperial scripture of the Bilinjiao clan, is it worth enough? Ao Xian asked softly. Enough. Li Yun nodded. He spent 260,000 TNG points, checked in the system, and said in a month, the Emperor Tai and Emperor Tiankai will come across the border at the same time. The passage between the two realms will appear 1,000 miles east of the ancestral land of the Golden-Winged Daepen. Two people. Ao Xian was startled and said in disbelief. How could two emperors use a space channel? Including the previous emperor Moun, these are three emperors. Can they all come over? As I said just now, the future has changed from the moment you cross the border. Li Yun said softly. Originally, it would take 3 months for Emperor Tai to come, and it would take about a year for Emperor Tiankai to come. But because Li Yun took action once, Emperor Tiankai's space channel was shattered. He opened a new path, not knowing that it would take years and months. Therefore, he chose to cooperate with Emperor Tai. Li Yun would not say this. As long as he told Ao Xian that the two emperors would appear in this world in January, he would be done. It's enough. Correct. Li Yun seemed to have thought of something and spoke again. The men of Emperor Moun have turned their spearhead and attacked the sea area. The Sea clan is currently retreating steadily. If you don't go back, I'm afraid your dragon clan will be gone. Emperor Moun's attack on the sea area is a good thing for the human race. They have persisted for so long, and everyone has almost run out of fuel. If the fight continues, the quasi-emperor will probably fall. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Emperor Moun's men changed their target. The dragon clan became the one being targeted. Although all parties joined forces to resist, in the face of a steady stream of cross-border armies, every living being in the Tianyuan world was I feel a lot of pressure. Soon, I'm afraid the defense will completely collapse. What? Ao Xian's expression changed drastically. He suddenly stood up and murmured, is Moun targeting our dragon clan? Does he think this emperor is easy to bully? Although he was injured, Moun resisted the blow from the senior poster, and his current condition is probably not much better. He doesn't think he can't beat the opponent. If a war really breaks out, it's still unclear who will win. I'll go and meet Moun for a while. Ao Xian said coldly, bowed his hands to Li Yun and said, Junior, please leave first. Li Yun nodded. After receiving Li Yun's reply, Ao Xian strode out of Dawang City without stopping. The moment he came to the outside world, the terrifying might of the great emperor came out. It turned into a 1,000-mile green dragon and soared into the sky. And killed towards the distant sky. A new emperor appeared, and at the same time Ao Xian's name disappeared from the list of emperors, and the whole world once again set off an uproar. Every living being was shocked in their hearts. Immediately, their hearts, and infinite joy surged up again. Emperor Ao Xiancheng is good news for all the tribes in Tianyuan realm. At present, Tianyuan realm is struggling to persevere in the face of the invasion of Zixuan realm. The appearance of a great emperor can make countless people feel relieved. Tone. In addition, Ling Xiao, who is already suspected of becoming the emperor, is no longer weak in the Tianyuan world's combat power at this moment. It's a pity. 6 or 7 people including the quasi-emperor of the Lin family, the quasi-emperor of the Ye family, and the quasi-emperor of the Golden Crow, they had just participated in a battle with the quasi-emperors who came from across the Zixuan realm, and all of them were seriously injured. They can't come to Tianji Tower to buy information at the moment. Otherwise, with their background, Tianyuan realm may usher in a period of great emperor blowout. At that time, even if the time for these people to become emperors was short, as long as the number was increased, let alone the 4 great emperors of Zixuan realm, even if they were doubled, it would not be enough to defeat them. Inside the Tianji building, Meng Qingzi watched Ao Xianyuan go away and quickly came over. He rubbed his hands excitedly and asked with hope. "Senior, you told me before that you would give this junior a chance to become emperor, but is it true?" "Nature is true." Li Yun glanced at him and said angrily, "Is it possible that you think I will lie to you?" "No, no." Meng Qingzi waved his hands repeatedly and said, "Senior, with his status, how could he deceive this junior? It's just that this junior can't contain his curiosity. The dream that has lasted for millions of years is finally coming true today. He said it is impossible if he is not excited." "Senior." Meng Qingzi took off all 6 rings from his hand, placed them in front of Li Yun, and asked softly, "Do you think these things are valuable enough?" Originally, he had 7 storage rings in his hand, but he just gave one away for free. There was all the details of a force in it. If he said he wasn't heartbroken, he would be a ghost, but the senior saved his life. No matter how heartbroken he was, he should express his feelings. There were only 6 left, and he was a little worried. He didn't know if it was enough. But thinking about it, Ling Xiao relied on the foundation of one sect of Tianmo sect to become emperor. It didn't make sense for him to have 6 sections. Can't he become emperor? That's almost enough. Li Yun said. Logically speaking, the background of the 3rd and 4th forces cannot be exchanged for an imperial weapon, but this is just an ordinary person's opinion. In the system, everything has its own value. If you can really afford it, he can use a large amount of spirit stones to buy an imperial weapon directly from the system. This kind of thing seems incredible to the outside world, but for Tianji Tower, it is common. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 245. System. Li Yun spoke in his heart and said, after checking, there is a chance for Meng Qingzi to become emperor in this world. Ding. Can Meng Qingzi become emperor? The query is successful. Undead Island, 8 million secret points are required, please check for detailed information. Everlasting City, 8 million Tianji points are required, please check the detailed information. The Demonic Realm, 5 million Tianji points are required. Please check for detailed information. Tomb of the Great Emperor of All Destructions, 4 million Tianji points are required. Please check for detailed information. There is one more than Ling Xiao. Li Yun clicked his tongue. It's just that these ones are ridiculously more expensive than the last. The cheapest tomb of the Great Emperor of Wanmi costs 4 million Tianji points. God knows what good things are hidden in it. The system is checking the opportunity of Meng Qingzi becoming emperor in Zixuan realm. Li Yun asked in his heart. If the opportunity for Meng Qingzi to become emperor in the Zixuan realm is so expensive, he can only choose the tomb of the great Emperor Wani. Ding. In the Zixuan realm, Meng Qingzi's chance of becoming emperor has been successfully investigated. Destiny Immortal Valley, 8.7 million Tianji points are needed to find out the specific information. Fallen Immortal Ancient Palace, 8 million Tianji points are required to find out the specific information. Immortal Burial Land, 8 million secret points are required to find out the specific information. The Inheritance Place of the Ancient Taiyan Emperor, 5.2 million TNG points are required to find out the specific information. Suanmo star territory, 3 million TNG points are required to find out specific information. Special reminder, there is an entrance to the earthly immortal realm, which requires 2 million secret points. You can check the specific location. Oh. Li Yun raised his eyebrows. In the purple mystic realm, there is actually an opportunity that is so much cheaper, worth 1 million TNG points. This is it. Li Yun made up his mind to pay attention. Of course, the reason why he chose this is, it was not all because he was cheap, but also because of a piece of news attached to the Suanmo star territory. Before, he was wondering why the Zixuan realm was also the ancient palace of fallen immortals, the burial ground of immortals, and the Destiny Immortal Valley. Yes, any precious opportunity has the word fairy. Feelings. People are really connected to a world with immortals. Even the world where they live has been affected. Of course. It may not have affected the Tianyuan world. Extremely, it was most likely that it affected the Chaos Star Sea, because the Chaos Star Sea was a world before, and later the life in it became extinct. And for some reason, it collided with the Tianyuan world and merged into a brand new world. It was because of this. The Tianyuan world is ridiculously big. The only difference is that the extra piece of land cannot be set foot on by ordinary people. Only creatures above quasi-emperors can enter it to look for opportunities. A lonely world that contains many opportunities for people to become emperors can also. From this point, it can be seen that the previous chaotic Star Sea area is definitely not weak. System, if Menkingzi steps into the Suanmo star territory, will he be unlucky and encounter a creature from the earthly immortal realm? Li Yun asked. This point needs to be clarified. The name of the world contains the word fairy. If you don't have two brushes, you probably don't dare to call it this name. What if Menkingzi accidentally meets someone who has just come from the earthly fairy world? Didn't he just fall into disgrace before he became emperor? The host can rest assured that the space passage in the Suanmo star territory has long been abandoned, and countless people have forgotten it. No living beings above the quasi-emperor level will come here. Oh. Li Yun raised his eyebrows. He noticed the loophole in the system's words. There will be no creatures above the quasi-emperor coming, which means that it is very likely that there will be creatures below the quasi-emperor. If nothing happens, he must be the great sage. Someone weaker than the great sage. He probably just entered the space channel and was squeezed into a meat pie by the huge pressure before he could go very far. As for the great sage, that's okay. Li Yun said in his heart. With Menkingzi's strength, if he can't handle a great sage, his quasi-emperor cultivation will be almost useless. System, check the Suanmo star territory and the news about the opportunity to become emperor. As before, just look up a safe route that leads to the opportunity to become an emperor. Ding. 3 million TNG points were deducted and the query was successful. 3 million. Li Yun was confused. What the hell? This opportunity itself is worth 3 million, and I spent 3 million to buy the entire opportunity? If I had known this, wouldn't it be good for me to buy the tomb of the great Emperor Wanmi? Such a situation, come on, I took the information of Menkingzi's 6 forces and earned more than 2 million secret points. It was a big loss. The profit was actually less than double. This is the most expensive piece of information I have ever checked. If it weren't for Menkingzi took out the details of the 6 forces, and now he was almost ready to lose everything. A jade slip appeared in Li Yun's hand, and he glanced at its contents. He suddenly understood. This was a man from Zixuan realm in the past. The opportunity left by Emperor Suanmo was that he opened the space passage leading to the earthly immortal realm. With this path, he set foot on the earthly immortal realm. And his inheritance remained in Emperor Suanmo's palace. Hit. Just right. There is only one way to enter this imperial palace. It is the one Li Yun checked just now. Li Yun pursed his lips, threw the jade slip in his hand, fell into Meng Qingzi's hand, and said, "This is the news you want. Senior." Meng Qingzi took a look at the contents, looked ugly, and asked softly, "Is this opportunity in the Zixuan realm?" "Good." Li Yun nodded. "Can seniors find an opportunity in the Tianyuan world?" Meng Qingzi wants to cry but has no tears. He has just returned from the Zixuan realm and is running back. "I am afraid that the three great emperors will not let him go. If someone attacks him, he will definitely die. You have read this news. If you are looking for one, can you still pay the current price?" Li Yun glanced at Meng Qingzi and said again, "I." Meng Qingzi was speechless. Li Yun comforted softly. "Rest assured. You go to the Zixuan realm now, I guarantee you nothing will happen." He took action once before, severely injuring all three emperors. Those people knew very well that they were no match for him. Even the three of them went out together. They all guarded the space passage, but it was of no avail. He punched it down with his fist. All three of them had to kneel. Therefore, they just sent two great saints to guard. As for the quasi-emperor, they did not dare to send them. If they were shot to death by Li Yun, they would have nowhere to cry. The two great saints the guard didn't dare to get too close. With Meng Qingzi's strength, he could easily get through. As long as he didn't seek death, he would almost never die. That junior is just going to the purple mysterious realm. Meng Qingzi put away the jade slips, stood up, cupped his hands and said, "The seniors have said so. If I am timid, it would be too pretentious. Well, go for it." Li Yun waved his hand. The juniors resigned. Meng Qingzi did not stay long. He left quickly. After leaving the Tianji Tower, he quickly entered the space crack and rushed into the purple mysterious realm. The second time he came here, he was familiar with the road. Along the way, he gathered all his breath and went straight to in the Suanmo star territory. The speed reached the extreme. Seeing that Emperor Chen was close in front of him, his dream of millions of years was about to be realized. He felt that his blood was about to burn. Meng Qingzi was sent away. Li Yun leaned on the recliner and stretched. Ao Xian and Meng Qingzi gave him a big gift. His secret points exceeded the 6 million mark for the first time. And these 6 million secret points were almost all given to him by these two people. Really? The stronger the person, the more secret points they will receive. The next step should be the legendary Wonderland. Li Yun looked at his TNG points and did not choose to break through for the time being. His current strength can deal with anyone in Tianyuan world and Zixuan world. It means nothing if there is no breakthrough. At the same time, two shocking pieces of news came out. The first piece of news is that Emperor Ao Xiancheng, as soon as he became emperor, he rushed towards the sea and killed two quasi-emperors of Zixuan realm. When he was about to kill the third quasi-emperor of Zixuan realm, Emperor Moun took action. The two fought across borders and exchanged 3 moves. After destroying tens of millions of miles of sea area, countless islands turned into powder. In the end, Ao Xian took 3 steps back in the air, while Emperor Moun vomited blood from his mouth. This scene shocked countless people. A man who had just become emperor actually severely wounded an emperor who had been emperor for 100,000 years. All the creatures from the purple mystic realm that crossed over were hairy. They didn't understand why their own emperor was so weak, but this dragon emperor was so strong. How could someone who had just become an emperor hurt his own emperor? On the other hand, the creatures in the Tianyuan world are full of arrogance. I originally thought that Emperor Moun was so powerful, but it turned out that he was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. It seemed that he was arrogant, but he was defeated in one stab. The Dragon Emperor on his side only made 3 moves, or he shot across the border, and the other party couldn't hold it back. If we were to pursue him, Wouldn't the other party be killed on the spot? When countless creatures shouted loudly, begging Aotian to fight across borders. Aotian hovered in the void, his dragon body winding for thousands of miles, suppressing the sky, his dark golden eyes glowed with cold light, and he said majestically, "We, the demon clan, why would we bother to fight?" However, as soon as I broke the heavenly tribulation, I was attacked by 3 great emperors from the purple Xian realm. I fought with the 3 emperors for several days, and my injuries have not healed yet. When I recover from my injuries, I will cross the border and kill 3 emperors along the way. Emperor. As soon as these words came out, all the clans in the Tianyuan realm gnashed their teeth in anger. This creature from the Zixuan realm is really despicable. They actually take advantage of people to survive the tribulation. Is this kind of behavior worthy of becoming an emperor? Fortunately, the Dragon Emperor of the Tianyuan realm has a profound background. Otherwise their side might have lost an emperor. Of course. At this time, some people are also wondering why Ao Suanhui suddenly ran away to Zixuan realm. And after going to Zixuan realm, he didn't come back, he became emperor, and there was something unusual about it. But it didn't take long. Someone in Dawang City responded. Someone had seen Ao Xian and Meng Qingzi go to Tianji Tower together, and then Dawang City rose rising in the sky. There was an extra space passage below, and I don't know where it leads. With this news, everyone understood it completely. The relationship was the master of Tianji, who sent them to the Zixuan realm. Only then did Ao Xian have opportunity to fight against the other 3 emperors. Now, everything became clear. When everyone suddenly realized it, someone suddenly remembered that Ao Xian became emperor and came back. What about Meng Qingzi? Why can't he be seen now? Figure. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 246. When Ao Xian fought against Emperor Moun. A second piece of news also came out. This time, the place where the news came out was actually Kunlun ruins. For the first time, many people were confused as to what happened. All we can see is that in the Kunlun ruins, countless symbols soared into the sky, and the entire starry sky was eclipsed. Countless stars exploded from the sky, and a kind of godless power filled the air, surging like a tide. This is a big battle. Unfortunately, it was blocked by Kunlun Su's formation. Even as strong as the great sage, he couldn't see clearly what was going on inside. Finally, a figure covered in blood rushed out and turned into a dragon in mid-air. It was 6,000 miles long. The power of the quasi-emperor shook the sky and the earth, making the sun, moon, and stars dim. A giant mountain above his head was rising and falling, blooming with a green luster, emitting destructive fluctuations, like mysterious stars, constantly flashing. This is a quasi-emperor with imperial weapons. He went deep into the Kunlun ruins, as if he had encountered a lifelong enemy, and wanted to break through the formation and escape from this place. Pity. The result left him desperate. A woman of unparalleled elegance appeared and took one step forward. She was like an ancient goddess descending into the world. Her power was so great that the whole sky was collapsing. No one can see her true face, but she looks at the world with a pair of eyes that seem not to put any living beings in her eyes. She is the only one who is superior to the world. Countless people shuddered at this moment. Boom. The woman didn't say a word, she raised her hand lightly, pointed out a point, and a ray of fairy light shone through the past and present, instantly splitting the entire universe, and without mercy, completely crushed a quasi-emperor into powder. No. The quasi-emperor let out a desperate roar. If he had known that there was a great emperor here, he would not come here no matter what, but now it is too late. The great emperor crushed him into nothingness in a moment. Even the imperial soldiers above his head were thrown out and broke into two pieces in the sky. This scene silenced all races. Countless people felt like falling into the ice cellar, especially the imperial clan. What kind of existence can be so terrifying? Even if it is the great emperor, it is not easy to completely destroy an imperial weapon. And this woman, without saying a word, just pointed out this weapon. An imperial weapon was split into two pieces. How domineering and terrifying was this? Thinking that his son had been to Kunlun ruins, Ye Changming felt a little afraid. If his son had met this great emperor, then not only is her son gone, but the Ye imperial clan may also be gone. Above the Kunlun ruins. After the female emperor killed a quasi-emperor, the space behind her cracked. She turned around, stepped into it, and disappeared. Until after she left for a long time, countless people who watched the scene came back to their senses. It was certain that there must be an emperor still alive in Kunlun ruins. Maybe Yu Qingxian was the disciple she taught, and an emperor personally guided her. It is reasonable for Yu Qingxian to achieve such an achievement. The deserted city. In the Tianji Tower. In front of Li Yun, a curtain of light floated. He was also paying attention to the battle at Kunlun ruins, and he was clicking his tongue. This quasi-emperor of the Bailin Jiao clan is really a real person, who can't you provoke? Even if they attack the Ye Imperial clan or the Golden Crow clan, it will be fine. There may be a chance of survival. But if you insist on going to Kunlun ruins, aren't you seeking death? How can it be justified if a female emperor is reincarnated and rebuilt without leaving any means behind? Li Yun pursed his lips when he saw the end of the war. His palms were stretched out from the void, hundreds of millions of miles apart. His 5 fingers were bent, and 2 streams of light flew through the air and landed on his palms. Pity. Li Yun shook his head. It's enough to kill a quasi-emperor. Why did you chop this imperial weapon into pieces? A good imperial weapon, broken into 2 pieces, is worth much less than its original value. If you want to repair it, it will cost a lot of money. The Zixuan realm once again lost a quasi-emperor. Mon Imperial Palace. Emperor Mon almost spit out another mouthful of old blood. A quasi-emperor fell like this, and a great emperor emerged. How deep is the water in Tianyuan realm? How many great emperors are still hiding in their world? First there was the mysterious Tianji Tower Master, and then there was such a magnificent empress who could shatter the imperial soldiers with one blow. Such strength. It made his heart tremble. He asked himself, if it were him, maybe he could break an imperial weapon, but it would definitely not be so easy to cut it off with one blow. It seems that I am going to visit the restricted area. Emperor Mon murmured to himself. According to the information he got, the master of Tianji is definitely not the current emperor, or the emperor in modern times. He may be an old monster who has lived for an unknown period of time in the game world. And Kunlun ruins. This is even more, a place of death. In the past, it was not even a restricted area. It was just a broken emperor formation. No one has ever confirmed that there is an emperor alive in it. But today, a great emperor suddenly appeared in Kunlun ruins, and Kunlun ruins officially became a restricted area. In the Tianyuan world, the old emperor appeared first. No matter what, they in the Zixuan world must invite existences of the same level to compete with each other. Otherwise, the master of Tianji and the empress of Kunlun ruins will join forces. Come and kill them. They may not be able to stop the 4 great emperors from the Zixuan realm. Maybe not even one of them can stop them. In an empty star field. Looking around, everything is desolate, with broken walls and ruins everywhere, and countless monks are using their magical powers to move the ruins of the palace. This was originally where the Tai Royal Palace was located. But after being punched by the owner of Tianji Tower, everything in the past completely disappeared. If you want to completely rebuild, you don't know how many years it will take. Just some magical materials are enough to completely bankrupt a big force. Fortunately, the Thai emperor is a great emperor with endless territories and countless forces under his command. He has sent a lot of materials to help rebuild the Thai palace. Otherwise, with the support of only one force, even if it is rebuilt again, it will lose the momentum it used to suppress the four extremes of the world. In the starry sky not far from the Thai palace, on an ancient star, two supreme figures stood side by side. A figure on the left, wearing a battle suit made of divine gold, shone with the coldest light, and his movements were filled with supreme power. Like a high-altitude emperor of heaven, with stern eyes, he commands eternal power. A figure on the right is wearing a simple gray robe, with hair hanging down casually. Every hair is crystal clear. Each hair is like a heavenly sword, which can split the world. The cross-border passage I opened before was completely destroyed by the Tianji building owner. I wonder how prepared you are for this one. The Emperor Tiankai spoke with a voice like a knife. His face was very pale, as if he had not seen the sun for thousands of years. His hair was gray and lost some of its luster. Only a pair of dark eyes, followed by two black eyes. Like a gem, very magical. You are injured. The emperor put his hands on his back, golden light flowed from his body, and his aura naturally radiated out, making all living beings in the world involuntarily want to pay homage. No problem, Emperor. Tiankai waved his hand, not caring, and said, if you can see the existence of a near immortal, you will have no regrets even if you die. If you look like this, let alone go to Tianyuan realm, I'm afraid you will be slapped to death by the mysterious owner of Tianji Tower before you get close to Tianji Tower. The Emperor Tai said indifferently. He couldn't be polite to the Tiankai Emperor in front of him. Because in his eyes, this man was a madman. In order to go further, he would do almost anything. Before he became the emperor, he fought all over the country. A person of the highest level. After he became emperor, he fought against all the invincible opponents in the world. When he had just become emperor, he met Emperor Tiankai and tried his sword with him, but he was defeated in 100 moves. After this battle, his reputation was greatly damaged. After all, he was so majestic and so powerful, how could he lose? Even if he lost, he couldn't be so shameless. But in the end, he lost, and he lost so simply. Afterwards, he thought about regaining his position, but when he thought about the temper of Emperor Tiankai, he chose to endure it. He could not beat the opponent. If he continued to attack, he would just lose face again. What he didn't expect was that after a period of time, the Emperor Tiankai himself he came over and wanted to use his space channel. Emperor Tai wanted to ask why he didn't go to Moun instead of him. In the end, he still didn't ask the question. He chose again, I held my nose and endured it. My path in this world has come to an end. Only other worlds can take me one step further. I traveled to every corner of the purple mystic realm in the past, but I couldn't find any trace of the rumored earthly immortal realm. With no choice but to choose Tianyuan realm. Emperor. Tiankai opened his mouth and continued, after seeing the methods of Master Tianji, my intuition told me that he can make me go one step further. He has dedicated his whole life to the sword. He has no relatives, no friends, and no enemies. He is the only one with one sword. As for power, he has never established it. He himself is the top of the Zhixian world. No one dares to provoke his power, not even those at the same level dare to challenge him lightly. You are seeking death. The Emperor Tai sneered. It is reasonable to find that the earthly immortal realm cannot be found, because the only space channel has disappeared. In the vast chaos, trying to find the earthly immortal realm again is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. But we can find the Tianyuan realm. It's because the space passage in Gentian ancient city has always been there. When I and others opened up the space passage, as long as they moved a little further, they might be able to set foot on the land of Tianyuan realm. No emperor. Tiankai shook his head slightly and said, in my opinion, your conquest of Tianyuan world is the real way to seek death. Maybe. UNMOUN will bring disaster to the Zixuan realm. Is it? The Emperor Tai snorted coldly and said displeasedly, I have also collected some information about the owner of Tianji. As long as you don't take the initiative to provoke him, you will be safe. And the Empress of Kunlun ruins has not been born for countless years. As long as these two don't take action, it will be easy to control Tianyuan realm. After all, my cross-border conquest is not to destroy the Tianyuan world, but to rule the Tianyuan world. As long as we follow the instructions of the Master of Tianji, does it matter who is in charge of the Tianyuan world? It's not as simple as you think. The Emperor Tiankai shook his head. Ah! Emperor! Tai sneered and said the law of the jungle is the law of the jungle. People in the Zixuan realm stay at home. Do you think you can avoid disaster? Don't forget. The great emperor who escaped from the Tianyuan realm back then not only fought against a person of the same level, but also found a battlefield in the Tianyuan realm. This battlefield is called Immortal Burial. You should understand the meaning. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 247. Bury the Immortal. The Emperor Tiankai groaned with his eyes, and the long sword behind him screamed, emitting a sword intention that would shatter the ages. The space passage is two-way. They can step into the earthly immortal realm. Naturally, people in the earthly immortal realm can also step into the purple Xian realm. For countless years a while ago, a shocking battle broke out in the purple mystic realm. The whole world was almost shattered. Those who finally participated in the war shattered the void and entered the world of chaos. From then on, the legend of immortals spread throughout the purple mystic realm. Mysterious world. Even after hundreds of millions of years have passed, this legend has not weakened with time, but has become more mysterious. Every living being is curious about what happened back then and whether there are really living beings in the earthly and immortal world. Broke into the Zixuan realm, creating a situation where the immortals took action. What happened back then cannot be verified. No one can tell whether it is true or false. The Emperor Tiankai shook his head slightly. My original intention is just to tell you that there is no peace in all the worlds, only the weak and the strong. Today, the war between Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm has begun, and it is difficult to let it go. The Emperor remained motionless and raised one hand. He pointed at a space passage not far away and said, since you want to borrow this two-realm passage, please ask fellow Taoists to work together to open it up. Relying on his own strength alone, the Emperor Tai thought to himself. It may take a lot of time, but with one more person of the same level, it is not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The two emperors take action together. It is estimated that it can be short within this time. This space passage will be completely connected. Good. The Emperor Tiankai did not refuse. He raised one hand and slashed across the void. With a flash of sword, he quickly struck into the cracks in the space. With a loud bang, the entire sky almost exploded. Emperor Tai looked at the scene and his eyes twitched. Fortunately, he didn't curse out loud. The space passage he had spent thousands of years opening up bit by bit was almost completely destroyed by this blow. What if my years of hard work have turned into running water, and I have to argue with Emperor Tiankai no matter what? How can I open up a space channel with such explosive methods? Can't I be gentle? Tianyuan world. The ancestral land of the golden-winged Dapen. A large number of monks gathered here. The fairy mist rose and fell in the sky, and in the distance there were various gorgeous magic weapons crossing the void, rushing towards them quickly. Look around. It was so densely packed that there was almost no end in sight, and there were monks or monsters everywhere, as well as other creatures from all races. Some look like black cows, but only have one leg on their abdomen. There are also the Hades whose bodies are covered with scales and filled with deathly aura. There are also the pengbirds that are surrounded by lightning and fly with outstretched wings. Huge warships and divine boats stayed in the void, with flags fluttering in the wind and making hunting noises. Countless human elites stood solemnly with spears in hand. Before half a month, news came out from the dragon clan that two great emperors from the Zixuan realm would appear next to the ancestral land of the golden-winged Dapen clan in the near future. The person who spread the news was the current Dragon Emperor. And Dragon Emperor also admitted personally that he bought this news from Tianji Tower. This way, all the creatures from all races came here without any hesitation. Even the golden-winged Dapen clan has completely moved their ancestral land away from here. Two great emperors from another world will appear 1,000 miles away in the east. This distance, to be honest, it's the same as nothing. If the golden-winged Dapen clan refuses to move away, the final result will be very miserable, and the entire ancestral land will be deeply engulfed in the battlefield. Now, where the golden-winged Dapen clan was originally located, although the people from the outside world have not yet come, the aura of killing and killing has already swept across all directions. The cold and chilling aura is terrifying. Billions of living beings gathered here, which was a treatment that even the blood demon world had never enjoyed before. More than half a month has passed. People from Zixuan realm should be coming over, right? A saint king, standing in the void, looked at the endless monks below, with a solemn look in his eyes, and said in a deep voice, "It's almost here." Next to it, someone responded, "If the news comes from the Dragon clan, some people may question it, but with the words Tianji Tower, the weight of the news will be different." From the time Tianji Tower came to this world, every piece of news is more real than real gold. I heard that this time, two great emperors came across the border together, and there is only one dragon emperor in our realm, who is still in the sea, confronting Emperor Moun. If the two great emperors of Zixuan realm cross the border to attack, I am afraid that we alone will not be able to withstand it. A saint king said with concern. He scanned the endless creatures below. These creatures of all races were undoubtedly a powerful force, enough to destroy a weaker world. But it's only slightly weaker. Really facing the Zixuan realm, one look from the great emperor can make everyone disappear into ashes. It comes down to it. It is the high-level combat power that determines the direction of the war. The underlying combat power is just the icing on the cake. Ling Xiao of the human race should have become an emperor, why has he not returned yet? There was a creature from the nether race who looked in the direction of the human race. Since the beginning of this war, the human race has been completely exhausted. Many quasi-emperors have participated in the war. They have no possibility of retaining their strength. The only thing that makes people feel weird is that, the Dragon Emperor showed up, but Ling Xiao has yet to show up. If he came out, not to mention changing the situation of the battle, at least he would not let the Tianyuan world suffer such a one-sided defeat. Maybe he was distracted by other things. A saint king of the ghost clan sighed softly and said, "At this time, we can't be suspicious. The cross-border war is close at hand. If all the creatures of all races doubt the human race and lose the powerful combat power of the human race, they can rely solely on the demon clan, and other ethnic groups may not be able to stop the Zixuan realm. You don't have to worry. It's reasonable for Ling Xiao to be unable to receive news for a while in the Chaos Star Sea. When he comes back, he will definitely come there in person. And our goal is not to actually start a war with Zixuan realm, but to destroy its space channel." Someone spoke to comfort him. The words are not finished yet. On the sky, a ripple spread. An empty void slowly opened a gap in front of countless people, and the supreme aura filled the air from the gap in the space. It seems that it has spread across countless epochs from another world and is pressing on the shoulders of all spirits. Plop! 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 The moment the breath came over, countless people fell from the sky, unable to maintain control of the air. As if they had seen a god and demon, their bodies couldn't help but start to tremble. The battle had not yet begun, relying only on a ray of aura, countless creatures have almost lost their fighting power. The great emperor of Zixuan realm! Someone exclaimed. At the same time, when the bell rang, on the side of Tianyuan realm, a golden sun rose into the sky, blooming billions of rays of light, as if an ancient demon emperor had resurrected, towering over the void, looking down at all living beings. It's the demon emperor Bel. Many people saw the scene and breathed a sigh of relief. They knew that people from Zixuan realm were coming, so they were not unprepared. Although there was no emperor present today, many powerful ethnic groups came with imperial soldiers. As long as by smashing the space channel, their goal will be achieved. Oh! A soft oh! It came from the side of Zixuan realm. The Emperor Tai was wearing a green-gold battlesuit. Looking at the scene at the other end of the space channel, a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. What is going on? At the other end of his own space channel. He didn't even know where the meeting would be held. Why did people in the Tianyuan world seem to have known it for a long time and prepared it in advance? Just looking at the several imperial weapons rising into the air at the other end, his intuition tell him that this matter is not that simple. There must be some unknown secret hidden in it. After thinking for a while, he didn't have any clue. Emperor Tai glanced at the creatures of all races in the Tianyuan world, and a coldness flashed in his eyes, indifference. Road. They are nothing more than ants, they can be destroyed with your hands. After that, he stretched out his hand and crossed the two realms. A huge golden palm, like pouring gold, covered a radius of nearly 1,000,000 miles, encompassing countless living beings, and wanted to wipe them all out. Boom! The palm has not yet fallen. In the sky, the galaxies collapsed and large areas of stars were extinguished. Countless people could not bear the pressure and exploded into a bloody mist. The power was extremely terrifying. When the demon emperor's bell soared into the sky and collided with the palm, it only caused the palm to pause for a moment. There was no real threat. In the final analysis, the imperial soldiers still have to be in the hands of the emperor in order to exert their maximum combat power. How can someone who is inspired by a quasi-emperor or a great sage threaten a real emperor? At the moment when everyone is desperate, a dragon roar is heard. Hold head high. In the sky of Longjiang Cave, above the clouds thousands of miles away, a huge dragon claw covered with scales, with a breathtaking aura, reached down and slapped the golden palm. Boom! There was a loud noise. A destructive aura erupted, and the two great emperors clashed for the first time, destroying millions of miles around. Fortunately, the side of Tianyuan realm was protected by Aotian, otherwise, the war would not have really started. Most of the sides will be broken off first. It's you. The Emperor of Tai seemed to have expected it. His expression remained unchanged. He looked through the cracks in the space into the distant void and said calmly, I asked you to run away that day. Where else can you run this time? Why do I need to run? Even though I have just become an emperor and have to shoulder the prayers of all races, I am still invincible in the world. The cold words came, echoing between heaven and earth. A dragon warrior fell from the sky. This dragon warrior has been baptized by the flames of war and has countless traces engraved on it. It is glowing now, with knife marks and arrow holes, blooming immortality together. The brilliance of the world. Even a chariot is filled with countless Tao and principles, intertwined with each other, containing the aura of the great emperor, filling the sky and the earth, giving countless people a sense of security for no reason. It's just a defeated general. The Thai emperor disdains. The emperor cannot be humiliated. Some dragon clan creatures roared. Their emperor used to fight 1 against 3, and he just lost. If he hadn't just become emperor and his foundation was unstable, they believed that their emperor could definitely kill them all with 1 against 3. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 248. It's the Dragon Emperor. Great, the Dragon Emperor arrived at the critical moment. At the beginning, the Dragon Emperor was defeated with 1 against 3. Today, with 1 against 2, he will definitely have the upper hand. The great emperor of the Zixuan realm is nothing more than this, not as good as the great emperor of the Dragon clan in our realm. That is, if they dare to come over, the Dragon Emperor will definitely kill them one by one. Ao Xian's sudden appearance. In order to make countless living beings feel excited, they first severely damaged Emperor Mon of Zixuan realm with 3 moves, and today they faced off against the other 2 emperors of Zixuan realm. Such achievements will probably remain unmatched for eternity. Ignorant creatures. The Emperor Tai said indifferently. That day, in the Zixuan realm, the 3 of them just made 1 move each. No one used their full strength, and they did not hit the Dragon Emperor. Instead, the Tianji building master blocked it. This can be regarded as, long 1 versus 3? Is there such a boast? They didn't even fight, so why did they lose just now with 1 versus 3? Snort. A cold snort came from the dragon's body. His temperament was very fierce, his pupils were dazzling, and they bloomed like a fairy sword, making it impossible for people to look at him. There are runes flowing on the surface of the body, trying to crush this world. Come and fight with me. I will kill you. After saying that, Ao Xian's hands turned into dragon claws, and the terrifying aura condensed in his palms. He stared at the 2 great emperors opposite him without blinking. As long as one of them dared to step into the space passage, he would definitely take action as soon as possible. As for letting the other party comes over, that is simply impossible. All the bullshit has been blown out. If someone comes over and hangs himself up and hammers him, then what will happen to him? Wouldn't he have missed everything? Although, he doesn't think he is weaker than the other party. But he doesn't think he is weaker than the other party. It is an indisputable fact that each of them has been an emperor for hundreds of thousands of years. So brave. The Emperor Tai's eyes widened and he shouted angrily. This is the first time in hundreds of thousands of years that someone has made such wild claims that he wants to kill him. If he doesn't take action today, he will probably be completely underestimated. I have been an emperor for hundreds of thousands of years and have only lost once in my life. Since then, I have never met an opponent. You are still the first one to make me seduce someone with murderous intentions. The Emperor Tai spoke coldly, and was about to step into the space crack. Before his steps could even fall, he was blocked by the Emperor Tiankai next to him. He shook his head slightly and said, "This person is deliberately irritating you. If you really in the past, I'm afraid he would take action immediately." Hateful. The Emperor Tai felt cold. He glanced at the space passage, but in the end he did not choose to go there. Emperor Tiankai was right. If he entered the space passage without noticing it, and the other party destroyed the passage, he would be homeless. Into chaos. Without the strength of an immortal, entering chaos rashly. Then there is only one end. That is, death. It is impossible for the Emperor to survive. He stared at the Dragon Emperor coldly, with anger steaming in his heart, and he was careless. Allowing the other party to perform a perfect trick, but he was actually unable to do anything to the other party. Haven't met an opponent for hundreds of thousands of years. Ao Xian spoke again. Who claims to be invincible, and who dares to claim to be invincible? Not even from ancient times. His words were sharp and had a sense of vicissitudes, as if an emperor had returned from a distant era, witnessed the vicissitudes of life after awakening, and asked all living beings. These words came out. All living beings in the Tianyuan world were moved, especially those in ancient times. The era has disappeared, and it makes people seem to see the vicissitudes of time and space in the ancient years. Is this the Dragon Emperor? Sure enough, there is a kind of grandeur, as if he wants to stand alone in the purple Xian realm. In fact, this is exactly the case. To this day, no other great emperor has shown up, only the Dragon Emperor is running around, and he can resist the three great emperors by himself. I can't help it anymore, I want to kill him. The Emperor Tai spoke. His armor glowed, his fists were clenched tightly, and he rose into the night like a volcano erupting, penetrating the sky. The terrifying pressure was like a tsunami, flooding the world. This for a moment. He didn't even use the word me anymore, which shows how angry he was. He is also a great emperor after all. Emperor Tiankai spoke. The words are not finished yet. One side of the Tianyuan world. Long Chu, who was stationed in the void, heard Ao Xian's voice again. You followed the trend and opened the space channel. This is not a big wave. If you dare to take another step forward, the world will be turned upside down. These words were very cold. But every creature in the Tianyuan world flushed their cheeks with excitement. I don't know why. Listening to the Dragon Emperor's words is just a boost. Countless creatures have high fighting spirit in their hearts. The great emperor behind them has declared war on Zixuan realm, how can they be afraid? The worst is to die. Do you really think I dare not go there? The Emperor Tai took a step forward. The breath swept out, like a stormy wave, crossing the space channel and hitting the other side. Wherever it passed, the folds of space almost collapsed. Boom! In the dragon's chase. The same aura that shook the sky rushed out, and they collided with each other, and they were locked in a stalemate. You can come and give it a try. Ao Xian said indifferently. It seems that he is not afraid of danger and is sure of victory. Let me do it. The Emperor Tiankai spoke. He took a step forward and slowly pulled out the long knife from behind. The moment the blade came out of his body, his aura became stronger. At the end, it was like a peerless fierce weapon was born. Before it was cut out, there were all the spirits. The sound of crying and howling spanned the long river of history and shocked the world. It seemed like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood surged from the purple mysterious realm. Standing not far from them, it seemed that it was not a great emperor, but a peerless statue. The demon lord wants to slaughter the world, and his breath alone makes people feel like they are falling into purgatory. Just now, he was still thinking about how to send away the Dragon Emperor of Tianyuan realm. But now it seems that the other party seems to be pretending to be addicted. If you don't take action, you might not know what he's going to say later. Good. The Emperor Tai's eyes flickered, and after thinking for a moment, he gave up his position. He understood that with his own strength, he couldn't defeat the opponent from a world away, but if it were the Emperor Tiankai, there might be some hope. After all, the way this person is walking is terrifying in terms of killing power. Moreover, it has been a long time since he became an emperor. A dragon who has just become an emperor cannot possibly stop the heavenly crying emperor. Changed. Ao Xian was stunned and didn't care. No matter who the other party was, as long as he stayed here, they would never be able to come over. Thinking of this, he felt calm and said again coldly and proudly. Who is the peak at the end of the Emperor's road? When I see the Emperor's way, it becomes empty. Even if it is you, you are just a withered skeleton on the way forward for this Emperor. When this Emperor enters the Zixuan realm. Noisy. The Emperor Tiankai uttered two words coldly. The long knife in his hand cut through the air. Laugh. A sharp sword light cut through the eternal tranquility, reappearing the true meaning of the creation of the world, like a god and demon awakening, slashing from the chaos, overwhelmingly domineering. This sword. Wherever it passed, the space was shattered. It surpassed the understanding of the world is unparalleled, shocking the past and present, and indestructible. Even the great emperors of the past dynasties would be moved by it. It is too sharp, the skills are shocking to the world, and there is a charm of slaughtering all living beings. Ordinary emperors simply cannot compete. Are you taking action now? Ao Xian's heart skipped a beat. Although he was frightened, he quickly formed seals with his hands, and the runes appeared one after another, stirring up the past and present, and stimulating unspeakable Tao power. Then, there was a bang. Boom. The moment the two great emperors struck and collided, the universe seemed to be destroyed, and everything in the world withered. No matter how far apart they were, all living beings felt a tremor. They couldn't help but kneel down and worship the waves. Bang! The dragon exploded. Ao Xian's figure appeared. He retreated tens of thousands of miles in the void, his eyes full of horror, and his hands in his sleeves trembled slightly. Drops of golden blood dripped. Smash it to pieces. How could it be possible? How could the other party be so powerful? He only took one move and was almost hit hard. You must know that the original poster defeated all three of them with one move. Why did he change it to himself? Is he in this situation? Originally, he thought that even if he lost to the defeated generals of these three senior posters, he would not be far behind. Until today's fight, he suddenly realized that it took so long for someone to become emperor. Everyone still has two brushes. Kill. The Emperor Tiankai roared, his energy and blood were overwhelming, his long hair was flying, and the long knife in his hand was dazzling, piercing the sky, even if it was a world away. It made people unable to think of any resistance. Clang. The sword slashed out again. The blood-colored sword light crushed the universe, and the most terrifying large cracks and world-destroying brilliance burst out, sweeping across the 8 wastelands. The sword light cut across the 9 days, and dropped down an endless waterfall of chaos, directly facing Ao Xian's door. It was chopped down with overwhelming force. I wanted to kill it with one blow. Not good. Ao Xian felt bad and wanted to escape, but when he saw the endless creatures below, he gritted his teeth and finally took a step forward, intending to resist the blow. However, before the sword light came, he saw it. A scene that made me horrified. I saw the Emperor of Thailand slowly raised his hand, and fairy light burst out from his body, like a galaxy exploding. It was extremely bright, and a golden spear condensed in the void. The blade of the spear entangled and destroyed. The breath will destroy the universe. Whoosh! The spear flew out. The light of the sword and the light of the spear came together to make a clanging sound, flowing with the power of the most powerful law, which can penetrate everything and destroy everything. Even any great emperor here would be horrified. Again the two emperors joined forces to attack. This time, it was different from the Zixuan realm. Emperor Tai and Emperor Tiankai were both angered to a certain extent by Ao Xian. Now both of them showed their full strength and did not hold anything back. Don't talk about Ao Xian. Even if he has been an emperor for hundreds of thousands of years, it will be difficult to stop him. Oops. Ao Xian is like falling into an ice cellar. How can he stop this? If he resists forcefully, I'm afraid the serious injuries will be minor. Otherwise, he may be destroyed physically and mentally. He has just become emperor, and he doesn't want to die so soon. Senior, save me. At this moment, Ao Xian couldn't care about anything and roared at the top of his voice. He knew that the senior's strength would definitely be heard. After all, the senior who was a world away could take action. What's more, in the Tianyuan world. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 249. 3 Quasi-Emperor level items. A clear voice sounded in Aotien's mind. 3 Quasi-Emperor level items. Aotien's expression changed. Senior, this is robbing. With one move, 3 Quasi-Emperor level items can be placed on any force. I can't bear it. At present, it seems that only the Dragon Clan has such a foundation. Taking out 3 Quasi-Emperor level items, although it hurts, it won't break the bones. Good. Aotien nodded. He quickly replied in his mind, 3 pieces, 3 pieces. Right now, if the senior doesn't take action, not to mention him, all the creatures from all races behind him will be wiped out. These people are all dead, and the Tianyuan world will be seriously damaged. Maybe there will be a break. Situation. Without the younger generation of cultivators to make up for it, the Tianyuan world may be destroyed by itself in less than tens of thousands of years. Boom. The moment Aotien nodded. Zheng. 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 The sky-reaching sword energy flew in one after another and turned into a large rain of light. It was the supreme magical power, which belonged to a certain ancient emperor in this world and had been lost. It reappeared in the world today, almost invincible. All the light poured down, as if like the Tianhe River bursting its banks, it shattered the light of swords and spears into nothingness. Gudong. Aotien looked at this scene. He swallowed and murmured Xianyin Emperor Sutra. He handed over this Emperor Sutra to Master Tianji. In today's world, except for the descendants of the Xuanyan Emperor Sutra, almost no one understands the aura of this Emperor Sutra better than him. Today, it reappears in the world from the hands of the senior poster, as if this skill is from his hands, pure, vast, and unrivaled. If I hadn't seen the senior poster take action once. He almost mistakenly believed that the senior poster was the founder of the Xuanyan Emperor scripture. How long has it been? A single Emperor's Sutra can be used to connect all the texts. In other words, the way of ancient Emperor Xuanyan has been thoroughly studied by the senior poster. Even if ancient Emperor Xuanyan is resurrected, there may not be a senior poster who can understand him more deeply. Puff. In the Zixuan realm, a mighty aftermath came back. It hit Emperor Tai and Emperor Tiankai hard. Their expressions changed at the same time. They spat out a mouthful of blood, and their eyes were full of horror. It's the owner of Tianji. The Emperor Tiankai spoke first. Does he not want him and others to cross the border? Or is he simply rescuing the Dragon Emperor? If it is the latter, then it is not bad. If it is the former, I am afraid things will be serious. He and others, before they could cross the border, they were blocked by the owner of Tianji building. If they really passed through, wouldn't they have thrown themselves into a trap? How could they have a way to survive? They didn't wait for them to recover. Boom, a loud noise spread throughout the small half of the Zixuan realm. A world-destroying aura swept across the world with rumbling thunder. It shook the heaven and the earth. The Emperor-level power filled the air like a tide. What happened? The Emperor Tai's expression was not very good. He turned to look into the void, his pupils shrank, and he murmured, "It's the Suanmo star territory." Suanmo star territory? Emperor Tiankai also frowned and said in confusion, "Isn't this a star field that has been silent?" In the past, the Suanmo star territory was like thunder in the Zixuan world. These 4 words are like a legend, which makes people admire. Because in this star field, an ancient emperor of Suanmo came out. This is the Zixuan world. The only person in history who opened a passage to the earthly immortal realm and entered the earthly immortal realm. After ancient Emperor Suanmo left the Zixuan realm, countless people went to this star field to find the legacy of Emperor Suanmo. Unfortunately, nothing was found in the end. Not to mention the inheritance of ancient Emperor Suanmo. Even the palace of Emperor Suanmo, no one has found it, let alone the space passage left by ancient Emperor Suanmo. Some people doubt it. In ancient Emperor Suanmo, after leaving Zixuan realm, he took action to destroy the space channel he established, not wanting future generations to follow the path he had taken. But this statement is not very tenable. Because after ancient Emperor Suanmo left, there was an immortal who came and started a war in the Zixuan realm, almost destroying the whole world. Finally, the immortal left. The trace is unknown. Countless years have passed, time has changed, and after the birth of a great emperor in the Suanmo star territory, there will be no more emperor-level experts emerged. This once prosperous star field also gradually declined. Finally, it became an ordinary star field. No one noticed, let alone no one cared. In the current world, the Suanmo star territory was a huge one. The incomparable star field cannot even produce a quasi-emperor. How could someone suddenly become an emperor? This is simply unbelievable, as if a great emperor fell from the sky out of thin air. Something is wrong, I feel a familiar breath. The Emperor Tai looked at the people who were overcoming the tribulation in the distance, and then at the Tianyuan realm that was almost close at hand. His face suddenly turned livid and he said in a deep voice, "Another quasi-emperor of the Tianyuan world? That's all. Now there are two quasi-emperors, who suddenly became emperors from the Zixuan realm." It was like someone slapped them in the face with an arrow from left to right, and slapped them twice in succession. The opportunity to become emperor is so precious. Needless to say, there can't be too many worlds. Most people who become emperors rely on themselves to realize becoming emperors. Only a very small number of people, by chance, receive the inheritance of a certain great emperor and suddenly become emperors. This kind of inheritance is very rare. It is almost impossible to copy. If someone gets one will be missing. They probably don't have too many people in the Zixuan realm, but all of a sudden, they lose two, and they also take advantage of their own mortal enemies. How can this be possible? Right now, the two realms are at war. The critical moment. One more emperor on the other side means one more enemy on your side. One will ebb and flow. There is no need to fight in Zixuan realm. Just surrender obediently. After all, the number of emperors on your side is far less. People are growing fast. Don't you think it's strange that the opportunity to become an emperor in the Zixuan realm has never fallen into the hands of one of our own, but has been taken away by people from the Tianyuan realm one after another? Emperor Tiankai frowned and said softly. Almost everyone in the Suanmo star territory Zixuan realm knows that in such a long time, there are not a few quasi-emperors who have been there. Those people walked around. No one was seen. Become an emperor. It happened that a quasi-emperor of the Tianyuan realm passed by and suddenly became an emperor. This chance is too small. It is too small to be a coincidence. Only this quasi-emperor of the Tianyuan realm has premeditated it. Can it make sense? I know there is something weird, so what can I do? The Emperor Tai said coldly. It's easy to defeat a person who has just become emperor. Both of them can do it, but who can guarantee whether the mysterious master of TNG will take action? In addition, he has already taken action just now twice. Emperor Tai asked himself. He had been very careful and tried not to provoke TNG Tower, but he still ran into it. He didn't know why the owner of TNG Tower took action just now. What if? He knew Ao Xian's private deal with Li Yun, maybe I won't be so worried anymore. There should be news from Moun soon. Emperor Tiankai said softly. Emperor Moun was the first to open the space channel and broke into Tianyuan realm. The two realms started a war. Both sides suffered heavy casualties and corpses piled up like mountains. The master of TNG Tower was never seen taking action. I want to come. This TNG realm, the poster should be the kind of transcendent being who doesn't want to get involved in the fight between the two worlds. These two sudden attacks were probably caused by him and others, unknowingly, provoking TNG Tower. The last time was because of the space passage. But this time, I can't figure it out. I have already sent people to enter the Tianyuan world through the space channel opened by MOUN. I estimate that the news is almost done, and they will be back soon. The Emperor Tai said in a muffled voice. If he does not want to offend TNG Tower, he can only find out the temperament of the owner of TNG Tower so that he can prescribe the right medicine. As long as he cannot help anyone, even if there are two more emperors in the Tianyuan world, he will have the confidence to fight. Win. At the same time, Suinmo Star Territory. Tribulation clouds were flying across the sky, thunder was crisscrossing, and as far as the eye could see, a sea of thunder flooded all directions, covering hundreds of thousands of miles in radius. It was as if the world had been destroyed, and it was extremely terrifying. In the middle, a figure in black robe was struggling to resist, his body was scorched black everywhere, and he was chopped into pieces that were charred on the outside and tender on the inside. When Menkingzi was going through the tribulation on an ancient star, the void twists. Two figures covered in blood walked out of the void. Just came out. The two of them retreated faster. The young master is not good, please retreat. An old woman with gray hair saw the scene outside clearly, pulled a young man, quickly backed away, and said in horror, someone is going through the tribulation. Overcoming the tribulation. The young man was seriously injured, his clothes were soaked with blood, and he was so weak that he asked, "The Emperor's tribulation." Good. The old woman took a solemn look at the outside scene, nodded and said, "It is indeed the Emperor's tribulation. Such people, even in our world, are strong. At the moment, we will not provoke each other, and try not to provoke each other. As long as the young master gets the inheritance left by his ancestors and enters the true fairyland in this world, he can go back and avenge the dead members of his family. Don't worry, Aunt Lan, I know what I should do." The young man clenched his fists, and the murderous intent in his eyes almost solidified. He glanced back at the space passage behind him and asked, "Aunt Lan, is this world really the Zixuan realm? You can't go wrong." The old woman carefully stretched out her consciousness, took a look at the external situation, and said in a deep voice, "This should be the Zixuan realm, the world that ancestor Xianmo came out of in the past. Back then, ancestor Suanmo entered the earthly immortal realm. Not long after, due to a problem with the space passage, a supreme immortal sensed the existence of the Zixuan realm. The other party wanted to refine the Zixuan realm and sacrifice an immortal weapon. As a result, they were blocked by the ancestor, and the two fought from the earthly immortal realm to the Zixuan realm. The ancestor could not bear the destruction of the Zixuan realm, so he led them outside the territory. After several years of fighting, the ancestor finally won a tragic victory. Kill that supreme immortal and leave him with another world. After killing the true immortal, the ancestor left his inheritance in this world. As long as the young master can obtain it, becoming an immortal is just around the corner." As she said that, the old woman glanced at the man in black robe outside who was overcoming the tribulation, and guessed in her heart, this person who has been overcoming the tribulation should have received the inheritance left by the ancestor before he entered the earthly immortal world. Speaking of which, he still has a close relationship with the young master. If he can get his help, it will be of great help to the young master. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 250. Incense Love. The young man's eyes flashed and he looked at the person who had overcome the calamity. He couldn't help but feel a little hope in his heart. After going through a lot of hardships, he escaped from the earthly immortal realm back to the Zixuan realm. With the horrors of the earthly immortal realm, It's almost easy to find his traces using the powerful means. Maybe. Soon, people from the earthly immortal world will be chasing him. Those people not only want to eradicate him, but also want to get the possessions of their ancestors. Inheritance. The inheritance left by a true immortal, even if it is some unrelated forces, may not be able to help but be tempted. Those supreme true immortals may not take action personally. But some juniors, or those with weaker strength people will definitely come from across the realm. If I can get the protection of a great emperor in the Zixuan realm, not to mention the people coming from the entire Earth immortal realm, at least I will be safe. Rumble, not far away. The thunder roared. About 3 days later, the calamity slowly dissipated. A majestic figure stands in the universe, at an unknown height, with no end in sight, thrust into the depths of the universe, and stepping on the endless netherworld. Around him, stars surround him and the sun and moon rotate. This is an unimaginable scene. He seems to be a giant who existed before the creation of the world. The breath becomes a cloud and the roar is like thunder. It makes people feel horrified just by looking at it. Roar. He opened his mouth and roared, and the endless essence of heaven and earth turned into a celestial river, a vast expanse of white, rushing in from all directions. All of it was swallowed into his belly. After being replenished with energy, the man's whole body glowed, his clothes were hunting, and his consciousness fluctuated with extreme vastness, shaking the entire star field, making people want to worship him. It was extremely terrifying. Wisps of pressure almost condensed into substance, turning into lines and spreading, making him the center of the world, and chaos enveloped his body. Boom! The man in black turned around. This tiny move made the whole world shake. His hair was disheveled, and his roots were crystal clear. His body was strong and powerful. His eyes were like the sun and the moon, and he looked at a star not far away. In his eyes, this star was as big as a finger. But he clearly remembered that when he was going through the tribulation, there were inexplicable fluctuations in this star. It seemed that it did not belong to this world. Although it was weak, it was extremely mysterious. If you don't show up within 3 breaths, you will die. Meng Qingzi said coldly. Aunt Lan, this emperor seems to have discovered us. The young man glanced at the emperor outside, then turned to look at the old woman next to him, and said softly, "Why don't we go out and meet him?" "That's fine." The old woman nodded. This space passage was left by the ancestor Suanmo in the past. When he became emperor, he built this passage. After he became an immortal, he returned to this world. Kill an incomparable person. The true immortal queen casually set up a formation to cover the surface of the ancient star. Although it was not a true immortal level formation, it was not something that an emperor could easily break. Now go out and talk to the unknown emperor. For a moment, it would be best if the other party is willing to help. If not, they may even want to take action. They are not worried. Because there is the protection of this formation behind them. A great emperor cannot do anything to them in a short time. The two of them walked to the edge of the formation. The emperor, who did not step out of the formation, looked towards the outside world, cupped his hands and said, "Han down below, Fang Qinglan, I have seen Senior. How could you two appear here again?" Meng Qingzi narrowed his eyes and looked at the two people in the formation, with their hands behind their backs, and countless symbols shining in their palms. He was thinking about how to deceive these two people. His intuition told him that these two people who suddenly appeared must have something wrong with them. It hides a big secret. After all, the star just now was within the scope of the catastrophe. The other stars were shattered, but only this moment was intact. It was not simple no matter how you looked at it. Maybe there was something on this star. Other opportunities. To be honest, Senior, the two of us are from the earthly immortal world, so Senior must have heard of this world. Fang Han said. His ancestor, after all, also came out of this world. He left a great reputation back then. Even if countless years have passed, future generations should still remember a little of his legend. And the person in front of him is Great Emperor. So, in Fang Han's opinion, the secrets that the other party knew should be above him. He had heard of the earthly immortal realm, which was reasonable. Unfortunately, what he didn't expect was that Meng Qingzi was not from the Zixuan realm at all. Earthly immortal realm. Meng Qingzi's heart moved, and he silently wrote down the name. With a calm face, he asked, since you two came from the earthly immortal realm, then the space passage leading to the earthly immortal realm is behind you. Well. Fang Han was slightly startled, nodded, and said, Senior is right. I never thought that there would be such an unexpected surprise. Meng Qingzi sighed in his heart and said, then you too, can you take this emperor to the earthly immortal world? This emperor also wants to take a look at what other worlds look like. I have become an emperor now. As long as the world is not too terrifying, he will have absolute high-level combat power when he crosses over. Not to mention that he can destroy the world. But at least he can protect himself. This. Fang Han was speechless. Beside. Fang Qinglan took a step forward, cupped her hands and said, to be honest, Senior, the two of us escaped from the earthly immortal realm. The family behind us has been destroyed. If we go back again, we may die. No problem. Meng Qingzi waved his hand nonchalantly and said, as long as I am here, no one can hurt you. Seniors don't know that the earthly immortal realm is different from the Zixuan realm. There is a supreme immortal alive in this world. Fang Qinglan said softly. Immortal? Meng Qingzi was shocked. There are also rumors about the word immortal in their Tianyuan world, but for countless years, they have basically never seen the existence of that immortal. The great emperor is the known apex. Maybe in the vast history, a certain great emperor left Tianyuan world, and eventually become immortals. But those people, it is easy to leave, but it is difficult to come back. Because the Tianyuan world can hardly accommodate existences above the great emperor, they will be somewhat suppressed when they return. As for the more terrifying existences, maybe just one, if a wisp of breath escapes, it can completely crush the Tianyuan world. It is precisely because of this. Countless years have passed, and there is almost no trace of immortals in the Tianyuan world. Are there immortals in the earthly immortal world? Meng Qingzi looked at Fang Han and the two with a fiery look in his eyes. This is good news. The path after the great emperor is now open. If he reaches the ultimate realm of the great emperor in the future, he might be able to try his luck in the immortal realm. This is much simpler and more cost-effective than opening up a space channel aimlessly in the vast chaos. This seems to be an opportunity. Meng Qingzi thought in his mind, and glanced at Fang Han and the two of them. These two people just said that they were being hunted here. If they don't make trouble, their enemies will come across the border, and then the entire Zixuan realm will have them. They may suffer disaster. At that time, the Tianyuan realm and the earthly immortal realm are attacking from both sides. How can the Zixuan realm be destroyed? As long as the Zixuan realm can be destroyed, this space passage will fall into his own hands. As for Fang Han and the other two, he didn't take it to heart at all. Although these two people came from the earth immortal realm, they obviously didn't believe in their strength. Even if there were true immortals in the earth immortal realm, it obviously had nothing to do with these two people. Thinking of this, he turned around and faced the Tianyuan realm. Go, at such a critical moment, he has to ask the senior poster what is going on in this immortal world. And more importantly, is the force that is chasing these two people strong? If the Zixuan world is destroyed, they will be transferred. The muzzle of the gun is pointed at the Tianyuan world again. The fun will be great. Senior. Seeing Meng Qingzi about to leave, Fang Han felt anxious and shouted. This great emperor has taken away the inheritance left by his ancestors. No matter how you say it, he has a certain connection with him. He asked this great emperor to take care of him. It's better to say something. If you meet an unrelated emperor, let alone let someone talk to you, maybe they will take the lead the moment they tell the truth. Take away your inheritance and then talk about it? What's the matter? Meng Qingzi responded indifferently. In fact, the seniors didn't know something. Fang Han gritted his teeth and said, juniors and even descendants of Emperor Suanmo. Oh. Meng Qingzi was slightly surprised. He didn't know much about the earthly immortal realm, but he still knew about Emperor Suanmo. After all, the opportunity he got was left by Emperor Suanmo, and the reason why he became the emperor could be said to be thanks to Emperor Suanmo. In his opinion, this young man may have noticed this, so he revealed his identity. Do you want me to help you? Meng Qingzi said indifferently. If it were someone else, he wouldn't mind taking action, but if it's Fang Han, that's not necessarily the case, because Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm are now hostile. If Emperor Suanmo was still alive, the two sides should also be enemies. After meeting the enemy, he did not kill the opponent, which was already considered as giving him face. Having said that, he paid for the news from Tianji Tower, and he still obtained the opportunity based on his ability. In the end, he relied on his strength to withstand the catastrophe. Follow. Does the descendant of Emperor Suanmo have a penny to do with it? Juniors don't dare. Fang Han quickly handed over his hands and said, it's just that this is not the only inheritance left by our ancestors in the past. There is also an inheritance from the true immortal realm that has never been born and needs direct blood to open it. This opportunity is full of dangers. If I go in alone, I might not be able to handle it, so I want to invite my seniors to go with me. These words were said to the letter. Although he did not explicitly ask Meng Qingzi to protect him, as long as the other party is a little bit moved by the inheritance left by the true immortal, it is impossible to sit back and watch something happen to him. Moreover, he also emphasized that it is necessary to it can only be opened by direct blood. In this way, it also cuts off the possibility of the other party kicking him away after finding the opportunity. If he dies, this opportunity will never be born. True immortal inheritance. Meng Qingzi turned around, looked at Fang Han and said with a half smile, do you think that if you don't tell me, this inheritance emperor will not be found? The person standing behind me is the senior poster. All I need to do is ask the senior poster to deduce that no secrets in the world can be hidden, and nothing can be hidden from his eyes. This Emperor Suanmo, the inheritance left behind. I only need to spend some resources.